So I wanted to take a minute to do a brief video on the legacy of David Rockefeller. Earlier today, David Rockefeller Sr., the heir to a vast family fortune, who, as president, chairman, and chief executive of Chase Manhattan Bank, transformed a listless business into one of the world's largest financial institutions, died at his home in Pocantico Hills, New York. Now, the cause of his death was congestive heart failure. He was 101 years old and estimated to be worth individually $3 billion at the time of his death. The family is worth a lot more, but just the one Rockefeller was said to be worth $3 billion. Now, during his lifetime, Mr. Rockefeller had been the recipient of 6 heart transplants. And this is when the average American can barely get a spot on the waiting list, much less get more than one transplant. However, despite his privilege, Mr. Rockefeller proved to us all today that money and privilege will not stop the hands of fate. Over the past 130 years or so, the Rockefeller family, through their tremendous wealth, estimated at $10 trillion in 1998, has had enormous influence on all aspects of American society, including politics, banking, energy policy, economics, medicine, religion, education, environmental affairs, intelligence, mind control, and even UFO research. The Rockefellers were part of the Counter-Reformation Illuminati Rothschild Jesuits, and the American branch of the Satanic bloodline arrived here in the year of 1722. Their main goal was, and still is, to obtain total monopoly on the world's economy by controlling the diminishing petroleum reserves and setting up a 1,000-year Reich for the Pope. Now, the founder of the Rockefeller clan in America was Johann Peter Rockefeller, who immigrated from the Rhineland of Germany to New Jersey in 1708. One of his descendants, William Avery Rockefeller, who lived from 1810 to 1906, was a traveling salesman. He was a con man, a bigamist, and a horse thief. He billed himself as Doc Rockefeller, the celebrated cancer specialist, and he sold his miraculous cancer cure, this is what he called it, which consisted mainly of petroleum byproducts. He sold this crap for $25. And at that time, that was the equivalent of 2 months' salary for these people. His wonder working liniment, which was another product, he billed as a cure for snake bites, impotence, and warts. And he sold that for $2 a bottle. And it was also a combination of crude oil products. So this guy was a snake oil salesman. His son, John D. Rockefeller, who lived from 1839 to 1937, had essentially monopolized the new American oil industry by 1870 and was probably the greatest of the American robber barons in the second half of 19th century. Self-described as the most ruthless American, John D. Rockefeller made his first fortune as a war profiteer, selling liquor to federal troops during the Civil War. With this capital, he entered and soon cornered America's new petroleum industry. And by 1870, Rockefeller's Standard Oil of New Jersey controlled nearly all aspects of the oil industry, from production to shipping to marketing. Financially backed by the Rothschild family of Europe, John D. Rockefeller became America's first billionaire and the world's richest man. By 1881, Rockefeller had formed a trust with 9 directors to control Standard Oil and its many affiliates, and had also become a major player in the railroad and banking industries. Only J.P. Morgan, who was also financed by the Rothschilds, was more powerful in finance. In 1890, when Congress tried to limit the monopoly cartels such as Standard Oil by passing the Sherman Antitrust Act, Rockefeller and the other robber barons simply broke up their corporations into myriad smaller companies while retaining ownership of them all and increasing their individual wealth. Now, the Spanish-American War was a boon to the Rockefeller-owned Chase Manhattan Bank and the National City Bank, which is today known as Citibank and Citicorp. It is these facts which are certain. Rockefeller's paid henchmen on the floor of Congress wanted the war. Hearst and Pulitzer demanded it, Roosevelt and Lodge forced it, McKinley and Hanna acquiesced in it, and the Rockefeller-Stillman National City Bank benefited most directly from it. For Cuba, the Philippines, and indeed all of Latin America soon afterward became dotted with national city branches, and the Cuban sugar industry gravitated into the national city's hands. So there's more to these banks than just money. They also own a lot of resources that people live on, and the money is just, it's unspeakable wealth that no person could spend in their lifetime. The last 40 years of John D. Rockefeller's life was devoted to establishing a series of nonprofit foundations dedicated to directing future of American society through shaping education, religion, politics, intelligence, medicine, and many other fields. It is estimated that the Rockefellers have between 200 and several thousand trusts and foundations. They control both education and religion in this country by their foundations. They have played key roles in the Council on Foreign Relations, and Nelson Rockefeller wrote the book, The Future of Federalism, which supports the union of nations into a one world government. For many years, the Rockefellers have been pouring billions of dollars into projects and international groups which are working to bring in the one world government. John D. Rockefeller Jr. also donated the land in New York City that became the site of the United Nations complex. His sons, Nelson and David, acting as governor of New York and president of Chase Manhattan Bank, respectively, were the prime movers behind the building of the World Trade Center, which disappeared in seconds on September 11, 2001. Other institutions that received substantial funding and policy guidance from the Rockefellers include the National Education Association, Time Magazine, Inc., Brookings Institution, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Association of Theological Schools in the United States and Canada, Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine, Hudson Institute, the Lehrman Institute, the National Council of Churches of Christ in the USA, Sierra Club, United Nations, World Council of Churches, Union Theological Seminary, Catholic University of America, the Population Council, the NAACP, surprise, surprise, RAND Corporation, Stanford University, the Economical and New Age World Conference on Religion and Peace, the League for Industrial Democracy, and the Lucius Trust Company. And this is just a few of them. There are many, many, many more. The enormous scope and diversity of projects the Rockefellers have funded over the years suggests that they have been and still are involved in the social engineering of America. So just who are the Rockefellers and how did they get so rich and powerful? Well, it has been said that half a truth is worse than a whole lie. Thus, if key pieces of the information are missing, it may be sometimes impossible to understand what's really going on. But I can tell you some factors regarding the Rockefellers that are generally not reported and are also not any longer secret. And these are, the American Rockefellers have always been agents of the European House of Rothschild, and the Rockefeller family is one of the 13 Illuminati bloodline families that essentially rule the world through covert and overt means. So people, I want to say in closing that when a person dies, it's usually a sad thing. However, the Bible touches this topic in Proverbs 11:10, and it says, "With his mouth, the godless man destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge," or actually, I'm starting from verse 9 in Proverbs. "With his mouth, the godless man destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge, the righteous will be delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices. But when the wicked perish, there is joyful shouting. By the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked, it is torn down." And this is from Proverbs, starting at 9 through verse, Proverbs chapter 11, starting at verse 9, going to verse 11. So isn't that interesting? So Proverbs 11:11, and we were talking about how the Rockefellers built the World Trade Towers, 9/11. Isn't that something? And I started at verse 9. Wow, talk about numbers being significant. So from verse 9 to 11, and here we're talking about how when the wicked perish, there is joyful shouting. I don't wish bad on anyone. However, there are many in power who wish bad on us people. And the Lord is taking and exacting his vengeance, because he says, "I am God." Not me, not you, not any man. Money does not make you God. Despite how the rich feel that their money gives them privilege, it does not. Here is a man who had 6 heart transplants, trying to stave off death. That's exactly what it is. When you're investing money, and it's so interesting that today I did the video on the pharmaceutical industries. You know, so many people, they pour all this money into cures when they don't realize that it's only by the grace of God that we breathe our next breath. I'm ill, but God sustains me. And I refuse to claim illness anymore. God sustains us when we are righteous. And when he wants to, when he calls us home, there is nothing we can do but answer the call. Any door that the Lord opens, no man can close. And any door that the Lord closes, no man can open. So people, I want to end this in prayer. I pray for the soul of Rockefeller. I understand that in life, he was not even the most pleasant person. Despite having all that money, Lord, many people still cannot find happiness. And Lord, you said, do not hate the rich. So I don't, because I'm obedient to your word. But Lord, I ask you humbly to show those people who may be in position to use their monies to help others the way to the truth and the light. Help them to understand that this life is just but a brief passing through, that in the end they will have to answer to you. Help them to see this, to know, Lord, that the wicked deeds they do while they are here will not go unpunished. Many are walking around in darkness. Not only are the sheep in darkness, but the powers that be are in darkness, because they truly feel that they are in control. Lord, help them to see that they are not in control. It is you that is in control. Lord, the people are tired. They're tired of these wicked leaders. They're tired of the attack on on the eugenics that are being done via these different pharmaceutical companies to wipe out large portions of humankind, and the people are they see the wickedness, and they're tired of being overcharged for things and being mind controlled through the constant hypnosis of advertisers telling us to buy this and to buy that, and we need this and we need that, all to make the rich richer. Lord, help the people to see that a simple life is the best life, that they can be happy and fulfilled and content with little, that it is not the abundance of riches that will guarantee them a happy life. It is indeed a relationship with you, Lord. This is what we should aim for. This is what we should desire. And Lord, I thank you. I thank you for this relationship. I thank you for my assignment. I thank you for the subscribers. I thank you for the listeners of the word. In the mighty, mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.